So now I have the pleasure to present our second speaker, and he's going to present the economical perspective of bioenergy. Professor Dr. José Maria Ferreira Jardim da Silveira is an associate professor in the Institute of Economics at Unicamp, where he's a member at the Center of Agriculture and Environmental Research. He also takes part in the Scientific Council at the Interdisciplinary Center of Energy Planning, and is a board member of the International Consortium of Applied Bioenergy Research. As an agronomic engineer and holding both a master's and a PhD in economics, Professor José Maria has extensive multidisciplinary experience in the evaluation of public policies, biotechnology and agriculture inputs market, technological innovation in agriculture, industrial economy, intellectual properties, and land reform. He's an advisory fellow in the PhD in Bioenergy program at Unicamp, and is currently developing his research in partnership with the BASIC project at the Technical University of Delft as part of São Paulo Research Foundation's Bioenergy program. Please welcome Professor José Maria.
Thank you. Don't run away, okay? It's lunchtime, but I will try. I'll not try to be simple because the subject is not simple. I would be capable to do this, but I'm not. Okay. My subject today is bioenergy economics. I am a member of the board of International Consortium of Applied Bioeconomy Research. It started in the last century, grabbing people that at that time were investigating biotechnology in agriculture, mostly transgenic impacts. And then the association was become today a broader association, gathering together professors and researchers relate to bioeconomy, not only to biotechnology and transgenic crops. But at that time, transgenic crops was very important, in fact, related to regulation and all the aspects that you're going to face when you try to put your results in practice on the market, and all the experience that we have accumulated with transgenic crops will be very useful to understand all the challenges to diffuse, innovate in the field of bioenergy. Okay? So I think my reason to go to bioenergy is that the proximity between two subjects, the subject of biotechnology and bioenergy. I believe that the majority of you is quite similar. They are doing things that are at some extent related to biotechnology. Okay. Okay, it's part in Portuguese, so sorry. We have this very complex situation. In the past, you innovate and your innovation could be well received. Nowadays, you innovate and then you have regulations, you have challenges, and you have environmental impacts. From the point of view of bioenergy, is good, but this is kind of impacts because is one of the arguments to put money and doing research in this area is related to the reduction of these emissions, greenhouse gases emission. And another question, what is interesting, but at some extent is a problem, is related to the fact that bioenergy is science-based. And when you see windy and solar is not at that extent science-based as bioenergy. So you have some unfair competition sometimes because the technology required to promote the other alternative renewable energies are simpler than bioenergy. Okay, but you have other possibilities. Well, bioeconomy, there's different colors. Do you know this? White and green. Green is mine, my field of research in the past, agriculture. Okay. Biotechnology is has not the same impact as information technology as they had prevailed in the past, but that biotechnology is becoming a basis of different sectors in economy and part of what we used to call kitchen. Biotechnology is a kind of kitchen for other investigators, other research. Things that are very impossible in the past, that very complicated things, nowadays are routines and laboratories and research activities. Okay. Well, Miles, do you know this? There's some discussions about the efficiency of photosynthesis. I don't know if you know about, have heard about Caleb Harper of MIT that said that, oh, it's use plants to do photosynthesis a very primitive way to do this. So you have to look for more artificial photosynthesis and then to produce crops in buildings. You have a lot of idle buildings in many different cities, so forget about land, okay? Let's do it in the cities. See the presentation of Caleb Harper of MIT. It's very interesting how, I'm a little bit afraid because Americans said, oh, there's saccharification, we are going to compete with Brazil. Do you have sugar cane? It's very much better, the costs are lower, and then we see what's happened. When guys of USA said that anything is possible, I believe. So please pay attention. In Portuguese, sorry. I swear that I haven't seen this. But this is a very interesting picture about the potential of biomass. I put it just to introduce the idea that biomass, it's a complicated technology, science-based everything, but there is a lot of potential. See the situation of Arkansas, this kind of regions in the United States are very depressed in the economic, Tennessee economic point of view. So bioenergy could be bioenergy could be an alternative to this. So many of the policies, I look for the laser, not... Under. Aqui? No. Under is on the opposite side. Okay. So you have these regions that you have a biomass potential. So the question is not, sometimes in economics, is not if it's the costs is lower, okay? It depends on the opportunity cost, it depends on the region, it depends on how you have some residuals that could be harmful to the region, could be a problem. So you can solve problems using bioenergy, and this work is very interesting because different regions, you can raise different contracts to purchase biomass. And then you can optimize contracts to make it better for further processes. Okay, so you have the biomass potential, okay, and the idea that building the bioeconomy, this idea, Andreas asked me if I'm going to be pessimistic or optimistic. I think that this is JBA view, it's Berkeley view, and then they are a little bit optimistic about the potential. I think that there is opportunity costs. It's not only the question of solar or windy or could be cheaper. The question is how to use biomass to generate a building bioeconomy. Okay, do you know this better than myself? But my idea, I wrote it in Portuguese. I'm sure that the idea that basic science nowadays is not far from the technology. Basic science is very close, it's a difference. And then sometimes when you say, no, university needs to put focus on science and basic science, I don't know what it means. I think that is a little bit risky. Many of the questions that are raised by this sequence points to the need to better knowledge, and then you have to combine both, okay, technology and science. And then one question that I'm doing in my work is exactly to know why intellectual property rights could be, okay, 50 minutes only, could be put closer in early stages of the technology. Sometimes you don't have technology, you have intellectual property rights assembled, assignment. So this is an interesting question. This is good. Is good for science? Is good for development of technology, or is it bad? There are many questions that are new that we can treat nowadays. Okay. So this, you know this, and then as important figure. This one thing is you have simultaneously, and I think that is a particularity of bioenergy, is the fact that you have a conservative view and you have a knowledge-based view. Okay? You have new things that could be interesting. Part of them costs a lot. You have the cost of the inputs are very high. Okay? You have new areas like algae. And then you have situations that you are not taking advantage of the possibilities of the technology. You say, you can burn lignin, but it's okay. It's interesting. Why universities if it's only to burn? It's exactly the Scopus results are. We have to export pallets of wood. Pallets of wood? I don't give a damn. No, our problem is not to export. This is not our problem today. Export raw materials. Brazil do this normally, currently. So this is not our question. Our question is how to add value with technology. And bioenergy is one of the possibilities. Okay? Let's go. This is one point of my presentation. So you say that research is very important. Research is able to reduce fuel costs 10,000 times. And then you have starting costs, and then the costs are going when you not only make some advancements in one technology, but when you make advances in a group of technologies, when you combine technologies, and you have to reduce opportunity costs, okay? So starting costs with current technology, current is today, and this picture is 2016, the evaluation in 2016 made by Berkeley. Sorry by the numbers, the 6 is here, the 6 is here, the 1 is here, okay? Lowest cost, no lignin value, and the importance to incorporate lignin in the process. And how to get there is what we call in economics a paradigm. The paradigm is exactly then you have clearly when what is your goal. Okay, it's your goal is clear. It's not only a scientific goal, it's not only a technological goal, it's an economic goal too. And then is a paradigm. And then you have some trajectories. You have to refuse some choices. Sometimes you study this. For example, ionic pretreatment could be interesting in the future, but nowadays it's so expensive. You have this kind of reasoning, but you have to look for your goals. Okay, now. To turn this viable. One example of how you have the interchange between intertwined between technology, firms, and, for example, research associations, firms, okay? And the problems of intellectual property rights is very tricky in this case. Sometimes you have to compete with Novozymes, okay? And you have new firms, you have traditional firms like Monsanto now, Bayer, you have Futurogene, okay. I will talk a little bit, I have 10 minutes, I think, or a little bit less than this. A little less than 10. I think nowadays I'm agronomist, but nowadays since the 84, since 84 I became an economist. Okay, in my time, when I was a student, if you have master's degree, you are able to do things. Nowadays you have to have the PhD. But when I was master, I consider myself an economist. Then there are some methodologies. Methodologies are very important, the key. Some just broader considerations, some views about cost, about trends is not important if you don't have proper methodologies. And one message is, one methodology is not enough. One methodology is not enough. You have to combine big data. Big data is very important. You have to combine softwares like Fabio Massago has produced to our investigation, softwares that are, how you say, made by the word doesn't come neither nor in English, neither in Portuguese, but tailor-made for our necessities. And technologies and methodologies are very important. One of them, I think that Marcelo Cunha, part of them you know him, is a professor of my institute, but is advising in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, the planning, I think like this is a PhD course. And Pedro, they finished a very interesting evaluation of bioenergy using CG models. CG models is a question. If you want to work with this, you need to become a CG guy. That's the problem. I'm not a CG guy, because if you have to dedicate to this. So you have the Congress, you have the meetings, you go there only for methodology actualization, to get used with the new things that are coming up. So Marcelo Cunha, exactly this kind of guy, is very, very important to our department and very important to bioenergy too. And they did a remarkable work, the PhD work of Pedro Garba, working on 24 different kinds of biorefineries. I am a multi-criteria analysis guy, and I mentioned this Gordon House and Papineau because it's very interesting. At that time, when they made this evaluation with experts in 2008, they say, the bioenergy will be the most important, the most promised technology. Okay, solar, windy, taking the prices of oil at that time, and take the trend of a big raise in the price of oil. It's interesting why a bunch of experts was not able to forecast, for example, shale gas, the impacts of shale gas. So economics is very tricky. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. You say, you never reach the goal. You said the inflation is going to be 3 and 2.9. You're ridiculous. You are not science. We are not science at that point of view. You are science because we deal with very complex systems. But we're not science to preview anything. Okay? It's not our job. Our job is to say it's very difficult. You try to develop a technology. It's not easy. You're going to suffer. That is not our job. Okay? They grab opinion of very qualified people in a frame based on previous scenarios. And we did. I am a technology foresight guy, and Fabio too, using papers, patents, citations, using networks, network analysis, okay? Network analysis is my field of research. And it's a mathematics a little bit, it's a little bit social science, is very interesting, it's a little bit physics, and you combine this and put this in the the field of bioenergy is very interesting. Our main conclusion about this is optimistic because we felt that we have seen that bioenergy is new, it's completely new. When compared with GMO, for example, GMO technology is mature. Have other opportunities, have a new revolution, the editing genes, but is completely mature from the point of view trajectory. When you see bioenergy, you see that it's not mature. What is interesting that you are competing with traditional technologies. The conservative view is always present in the economic scenario. When you have some crisis, they go rapidly to conservative view. This is one of the characteristics of economics. Okay, guys, when you have some problems and you have a collective view that the things are not going as they prevail, as they thought, they go to conservative view. It's Keynes. This is a Keynes contribution to economics. Okay? Well, some definitions. I don't have time to present all of that. These definitions of a bio-based economy is very important because it is the question of climate change, the importance that you give to climate change. We know that this ridiculous guy, I don't know the name, Trump, I think. What they say, well, we have entrepreneurs, we have scientists, we have technicians, and now we are together, we have banks, okay? But what does it matter, the opinion of Trump about what's happened? Okay, this a little bit optimistic. I hope that is not naive, but I think that the idea that life cycle analysis and the importance of bioenergy in this framework is important to justify the investments in bio-based economy. Oh, I skipped this. The view of Rosser Pepinot, this work, okay? There are some important remarks for us. One is, don't be liberal in the sense that subsidies is not good. Subsidies could be important. Okay, you have to know how to do this. Okay? And you have some policies are very important, like mandates. We have mandates here in Brazil, it's clear. Okay, this traditional, the link between ethanol and other technologies is important. You say, no, it's a no, I hate ethanol. I'm going to lignin, I'm going to acrylic acid, I'm going to other things that add value. But ethanol is important as a base of this industry. So some policies that keep this working is very important. Only to show this. In their study at that time, they show how solar energy at that time was skyrocketing, okay, and bioenergy a little bit, and other technologies. But you say wind technology, for example, is very important in the Northeast region in Brazil. Okay, we know that produced sugarcane was a matter of tradition. It's not a matter to be, or to combine to produce seeds or things like this, but not to be competitive, okay, in order producing. But now there is some opportunities, energy cane, other drought resistance, other techniques that in some regions in Northeast. But the most important, solar and wind will be very important to the sustainability of their economies, okay? For example, you can forecast using this method. It's very important, this logical framework. Before doing any research in economics, you need to be closer to you. You have to give your qualified opinions. Okay, 5 minutes more or not? So just to close. And then you have to have an idea what's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years. In 15 years, in comparison, for example, what would be the possibilities of alternative technologies, okay? And prices. What are the baseline for prices? Okay. The CG model is very complicated. It has a lot of things to explain. This is Pedro and Marcelo work. But I just want to finish what a very interesting result of their investigations is the negative impact of bioeconomy in Brazilian GDP in the up to 2030. Why so? If you this is business as usual scenario, and some comparisons when you use lignin and you go more intensive add value at biorefineries, less add value at biorefineries, all the results they have, the Brazilian economic up to 2030 will be suffer. I said, why is so? One reason is clear, because the sector that is the competition is petroleum, is oil sector. And oil sector in Brazil, the Brazilian economy in the last 20 years, practically concentration in oil sector. And buildings are, how to say, I don't know, the construção civil, what's terrible? Construção civil and petroleum and oil. And then when we promote changes, you have what Schumpeter called creative destruction. Okay, you're going to reduce some kinds of jobs. You are going to reduce even the GDP. All the things remain the same due to the negative effect of the substitution of a traditional oil economy by bioeconomy. Okay? So, it's a very tricky result. You have to think about what this. That's why I mentioned that one methodology is not enough. Sometimes you have to discuss the different views, what they misleading in this kind of evaluation, why this result is so pessimistic and could lead to a very to a sign that if I take it for granted, I decide not to invest in bioenergy. No, it's not the case. It's the case that you are changing the Brazilian economy deeply. They said, building this model, that bioenergy has a potential to redefine sectors in economy, Brazilian economy. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor José Maria. We have some minutes for questions. Anyone?
Hello.
Oi.
Hello. Thanks very much for your presentation. I have one doubt concerning biorefineries. Many people say that biorefineries, they will be good because you can have small biorefineries in a more decentralized scenario. So what do you think about these small biorefineries in Brazil? Do you think it's possible, or do you think it's not? Because maybe it would be a possibility to have small farmers producing these bio-based products, materials and fuels, and then you would have a bigger possibility to diminish this social difference.
Well, we just proposed to FAPESP with the Technical University of Delft and Wageningen a project exactly in this subject. Okay, when from the point of view of Patricia Schwager, the idea that you have to incorporate new social actors when you produce bioenergy is important, not only to put all your shoulders in the environment, but generate the possibilities to have some positive effects. And then we are investigating why, in the case, for example, of biodiesel, the things weren't so badly as they went. recently. So we have to think about the possibilities of biorefinery. But one thing that is important in bioenergy is the fact that it's modular. You can modulate it for different situations, different social aspects. Okay, this is advantage. You say, no, oh, okay, Brazilian guys, it's good, I have a land. And then you have the winds. So the only thing that I have to do is to rent my land. Sharecropping, like this. So it's very, very simple to a guy to choose this, okay? And for South Brazil, for example, is very important. Northeast Brazil is very important. The potential is big. But what you are going to do about jobs and the opportunities, entrepreneurship of things? I think the biorefinery is a possibility to add value, for example, to farmers in different situations. And technology is important. The idea that, oh, I do this at home, the way that some guys teach me to do is ridiculous. You can do this technically, and raising a great potential for industry, instruments and equipments and all of this.
One last question for Dr. José Maria. Okay.
Thank you for your nice talk. Looking out through the years, the last decades, from the pro-alcohol to now, and now to the future, do you see the scenario is getting better when it comes to gross, to our PIB, to our gross product, the national, the participation of bioenergy, or you see the trend line just going down and down and down?
No, you're referring to a whole economy or whole economy or bioeconomy? Huh? Our economy? Ah. I think that what I mentioned, the picture after the crisis, is a picture that a very concentrated, the way they do business is not sustainable, okay? We discovered that the way we do business, for example, contractors, okay, and governments and politicians, it's not sustainable. This is a huge problem. And then when we take a look in the economy, a picture of the economy, the relationships, a network of the economy, we see that this is very important. It's not cosmetic. It's exactly the sectors that have more importance in the economy, exactly the sectors that made this kind of triad between politicians, governments, and entrepreneurs, that part of them in the jail now. So this is a serious problem. How to deal with decentralized? We have looked for decentralized economies in biodiesel, and you saw that the soybean associations have done all very good points. So to use soybeans to and all of the questions that I think that the great customer has tried to get it directly is exactly the point. Okay, we have a tradition to concentrate, and decentralization is very difficult to us. When the economic power of some associations in agriculture is an example, the agribusiness in Brazil is very concentrated, it's becoming more concentrated, and so the links and the networks that it's important to bioenergy have a decentralization. I think that you can profit with biorefineries if you know how to do this.
So once again, thank you, Professor José Maria, for your speech.